On November 25, 2018, a Chinese scientist shocked the world by announcing via YouTube the birth of the first ever gene-edited humans, Lulu and Nana.
Two beautiful little Chinese girls named Lulu and Nana came crying into the world as healthy as any other babies a few weeks ago. The girls are home now with their mom Grace and dad Mark.
A Chinese researcher claims to have helped make the world's first gene-edited babies. Twin girls whose DNA he says he altered with a powerful new tool that lets scientists edit the genetic code.
I feel a strong responsibility.
The entire scientific community was in shock. Without knowing it, he launched our species into the unknown, editing genes, modifying humans, changing our DNA. Those are things that, until then, we had never been able to do. This is a story of a man who started with good intentions, but as the saying goes, the road to hell is paved with good intention. It is a fascinating story of scientific prowess and human betrayal. The discovery of CRISPR redefined the future of our species and raised many questions without answers. How should we use this newfound power? Should we try to get rid of our flaws with the goal of creating better humans? And if that's the case, how do we even define what is considered a better human? Are we in a position to take power away from nature and start modifying our species? Gene editing on humans is one of the most controversial topics, and the story behind the first ever gene-edited babies shows us how complex it is. Hey, I'm Nedd Ludd. If you're new to the channel, welcome, and if you've been subscribed, welcome back. Two things before we start. I'll be responding to a few comments at the end of this video, so please stay tuned for that. And for this video, I want you to think about this question. If you could edit the genes of your kids, would you do it? Okay, without further ado, let's get to it. The story began in 2012 at Berkeley College in California when two researchers, Jennifer Doudna and Emmanuel Charpentier, discovered that CRISPR-Cas9 could be used to edit human genes. This was a groundbreaking announcement. For the first time ever, we had found a way to edit our own genes and potentially change the future of our own species.
The opportunity to do this kind of genome editing also raises various ethical issues that we have to consider, because this technology can be employed not only in adult cells, but also in the embryos of organisms, including our own species.
The tool gave us the ability to edit genes of human embryos by allowing scientists to pick a specific spot in the DNA and modify it. But the most powerful aspect of it was our ability to not only affect one person, but being able to make changes that will affect future generations and potentially last forever.
Gene editing is itself not either bad or good. It depends on the application. Let me be very clear. There's something called the germline, the part of the DNA that gets passed from generation to generation. That's what you think about if you're doing editing of an embryo or a sperm or an egg. But the rest of the cells in our body, we call them somatic cells, are in a very different place. They're not going to get passed on. It's not all the cells in your body. Germline gene editing, we believe, is not yet an effort that should be undertaken for humans. We don't understand the safety issues. If something goes wrong and that gets passed to future generations, that's clearly bad.
The discovery spurred a wave of research in the field as many scientists wanted to build on this new game-changing technology. By 2015, the Obama administration decided to put a ban on gene editing of human embryos with the goal of preventing a disaster. But because the tool became easily accessible online, anyone could buy it, and by 2015, researchers in Sun Yat-sen University in Guangzhou, China, conducted the first ever experiment on human embryos. This showed the disconnect between the innovation that was taking place and the regulations around the technology. Governments around the world were misaligned on how to apply this newfound power. The field became the Wild West, and unfortunately, not all scientists cared about the ethics of this new technology.
CRISPR allows humans, it puts so much power into our hands. It allows us to shape our world in ways never before imagined. And there are many people in the US who think, well, that's not for us to do. That's for a higher power. That's for God. So the idea that we could be playing the role of God makes a lot of people nervous.
Okay. But
Clearly not here, though.
Yeah, not here.
Wow.
By 2017, many people were buying the new tool to conduct experiments at home, and it was only a matter of time before the first experiment got conducted on a living human. A biohacker named 𝐓𝐤𝐲𝐿 injected himself with DNA edited with CRISPR, and this is when things started to get a little shaky, because just 1 year later, the world saw the first ever gene-edited babies. In 2007, Jiankui got selected as one of the top Chinese students to go study at Rice University in Texas. He worked under Professor Michael Dim, who is a famous American researcher. In 2010, they published a research paper together in the scientific journal Physical Review Letters. This was his first introduction to the technology of CRISPR, and it is believed that this is what led him to get more involved in the field. In 2011, he won the Peacock program, which is a program put in place by the Chinese government in the booming city of Shenzhen to bring back top talents in the country. With $6 million in funding, he started a company called Direct Genomics with the goal of studying genetic diseases in human embryos. He surrounded himself with top scientists in the field, including his old professor Dim from Rice University and Dr. Quake from Stanford University, who also happens to be the co-president of the $600 million Chan Zuckerberg BioHub. This is when things get interesting, because in 2016, just 1 year after the first ever experiment on human embryos had been conducted in China, he decided to start recruiting couples who had suffered from HIV-related discrimination, with the goal of helping them give birth to kids who will be completely safe from getting HIV. His goals were very noble, and he started with good intentions.
Calling a child "is that a baby" is wrong. It insults parents with genetic diseases. It tries to create fear and hate out of disgust.
In many of his videos, he warned against designer babies, a label that he didn't particularly like. On the surface, it looked like he had good intention, but what is hard to understand is that there were other ways to protect those kids without editing their genes. We have other technologies and tools to do that, and this is why we can slowly start to question his real intentions. Because when we dive into some of the recruiting strategies he used to get those couples, we can see that he had a predatory behavior. He promised many couples to pay the treatment cost of $42,000 USD, but he told them that if they wanted to leave the program, they will have to pay him back. And this is when they got trapped, because many of these couples were people who couldn't pay him back. In this picture, we can see that his old professor and another prominent Chinese scientist were watching as he conducted interviews. It seems to me that he wanted to be the first in the field to bring babies to life with CRISPR. He kept up a blog where he was trying to make a name for himself in the scientific community. We can see, for example, that he took a picture with Jennifer Doudna, the lady who had discovered how CRISPR could be applied for human genes. It seems that his chase for fame and his willingness to be the first got the best of him. What is very intriguing is that the other scientists in his circle didn't do much to stop him, even though they knew what he was about to do. When the news finally broke on November 25, 2018, it was too late. Damages were already made, and we learned that there was not only one, but two couples with gene-edited babies. And to this day, we still don't know who is the other couple with the babies. Right after he made the announcement on November 25, 2018, everyone started moving away from him. More than 100 Chinese scientists wrote an open letter calling his actions crazy. Dr. Quake from Stanford University, who was on his board of directors, wrote to the Science magazine and denied supporting him. But an email was found later where he congratulated Jiankui for his great achievement. One by one, just like clockwork, everyone got away, and slowly but surely, things started to get worse for Jiankui. In January 2019, he got fired from his position as a university professor in Shenzhen, China. By the end of the year, he got sentenced to 3 years in jail and a fine of 430,000 USD. China did not have any official regulation in place to stop what he did, so it is weird that he got sentenced to jail. They had to turn the story around and make it seem that he broke the law, even though at the time he did it, there were no regulations in China around it. In March 2021, China updated its criminal law and included a new section against gene editing on human embryos. This is good news on the surface, as it shows that governments around the world are thinking about the issue. But if we take a step back, the broader question here is, what will the world look like once some humans are genetically edited and some are not? Can we trust that this will not happen again? How do we know that someone somewhere in the world is not currently playing with the technology with bad intentions? CRISPR is fundamentally a tool, and just like any tool, it can be used for good and bad. Because of this experiment, the general public has fears about this technology. Those fears are well founded, but we must not forget the potential this tool has to revolutionize our society and help us live better lives. As someone with sickle cell anemia, this technology gives me hope, and just like millions of people around the world with genetic disorder, this technology could be the answer to many of our problems. But it is not lost on me that we need better regulations around this tool. Governments around the world, we need to coordinate to get this right. I don't think Jiankui was an outlier, as we saw that he had many scientists supporting him.
The world has moved on to the stage for embryo gene editing. There will be someone somewhere who is doing this. If it's not me, it's someone else.
And the news also came out that the Chinese government may have even provided funding for this experiment. With a tool like this, which has the potential to completely change our species, we need basic standards that apply globally. Jiankui was the first, but I don't think he will be the last. And as someone who cares about the future of our world, I think these are questions you should be thinking about. Hey, thank you so much for watching. Welcome to the After Party Club. What do you think of my background? So, sorry for that. I just got a new green screen and I feel like a kid in a candy store, so I'm just like testing different things, but I think you guys gonna get used to it. Thank you so much for watching. As always, please like, subscribe, share if you find value in this video. If you would like to learn more about the topic of gene editing in general, I'm gonna have a few links in the description below, so make sure to check that out if you want. And this was a very complex issue. For this video, I really wanted to focus on the story of Jiankui. In the future, I may do more videos on the topic and how it might affect our future, since this is what I really like to focus on. One other thing I wanted to bring up, as I mentioned, I want to respond to a comment. So this one is from Dan J. Shout out to you, Dan, if you're watching. I'm just gonna read what he said and put it on the screen. And he's ruining many women who were lured by the potential to make money. None of these women will be ruined by being lured and incentivized to this industry. I like the video overall, but struggle with the message of not doing work that will be damaging long term, especially since you touch on how women need to survive, to do this to survive. It is just a unique avenue much less open to men. So Dan, I agree with you that some of these women really do need to do this to survive, and my point wasn't to blame any woman doing OnlyFans. The point of the video, what I really wanted to show was the fact that now, because it is a trend, Beyonce name dropped it in a song, Cardi B was on it, so many celebrities are joining. The average teenage girl, college girl, thinking of making a decision of going on OnlyFans, I don't think it's a smart one. As we've seen at the end of the video, so many women regret it. And the issue is because sex work is still negatively seen in society. I'm not saying that is right, but that is a fact. And with that being said, I don't think it can be a smart long-term move for some of these women, especially if you're not planning to do it for a long time. So my point was, don't just go because every single YouTuber is putting, I made 20 grand on OnlyFans, blah, blah, blah. Just like, if you gonna be part of that industry, yes, I mean, go for it. But if you're just doing it for the trend, I think it is a trend that is affecting us more than we understand currently. And I wanted to kind of like highlight that. And with that being said, for anyone who would like to learn more about this topic, Dan recommended a book. It's called Meat Market, Female Flesh Under Capitalism. I'm gonna have the Amazon link in the bio in case you want to check it out. But yeah, as always, thank you so much for watching. We are almost about to reach 100 subscribers. So if you're new here, please subscribe. For those who have been subscribed, truly, truly, truly appreciate your support. I can't even thank you enough. Just like reaching 100 subscribers, that's a really big number for me. And I'm looking forward to it, man. Like I have so many ideas, like so many things that I want to do, and I can't wait for you guys to see it. With that being said, have a good one. Stay healthy, stay good. Till next time. Bye.